So today we're going to make a protein bar. This particular protein bar is based on a very popular protein bar that's out on the market at the moment because it's fairly high in protein, low in net carbs and quite low in ingredients as well. I tried one the other day after someone recommended them to me, and I found them really sweet, and I looked on the back of the packet obviously at the ingredients, and they advertise that they use a prebiotic fibre in them, which makes you think, oh, they're really good. And I did a little bit of research into this fibre, and it's actually sold as a sweetener. So that's kind of why they're so sweet. They are one of the best sort of processed bars, I suppose, in the market, but this is a much cheaper way to make a kind of a high protein, low net carbs bar, and it's so simple to make, and it takes about 10 minutes. So we're just going to go through it now. These bars have about 200 to 230 calories each, at least 27 grams of protein, depending what you're sort of adding into it. 8 grams of carbs, of which about 2 grams is net carbs, the rest is fibre, and then about 8 to 10 grams of fat, depending on what we're using, and today we're going to use a butter. So the ingredients that you'll need are, so we've got our Reflex Nutrition Peptide Fusion in chocolate peanut butter flavour, because we're going to make some chocolate cookie flavoured bars today, and then some dark chocolate. Try and go for 85% minimum, so we need 20 grams of that. 100 grams of peptide fusion. We've got in here some sliced almonds, so 20 grams of those. We're going to use a couple of tablespoonfuls of natural sweetener called stevia, some water. I use a maple syrup flavouring because it kind of gives that brown sugar flavour to a protein bar, kind of sort of like that you get in a chocolate brownie. We've got 20 grams of melted butter. Always go for butter over margarine. Again, you can choose a nut butter if you prefer the flavour of that. And then we've got some peanut flour, and we're going to be using 40 grams of defatted peanut flour today, and that's available to get on the internet. So to start off with, we're going to put about 100 grams or 4 scoops of peptide fusion in a bowl, and this will make 4. 2, 3, 4, and this is really simple, I'm not going to lie. And then we're going to pour in our melted butter, 20 grams of sliced almonds, going to pop in a couple of tablespoonfuls of stevia, that should be enough. And stevia, of all the kind of sweeteners to use, it is, I would recommend, the best one as it's natural. It's from a plant extract. And then we're also going to add in 40 grams of defatted peanut flour, a tiny capful of our maple extract, that's obviously optional, and then we've got 20 grams here of dark chocolate, which just break up into really tiny pieces, and pop all that in. So that's about two pieces of a normal bar, 20 grams. Obviously you can pop coconut in it, different types of nut butters to flavour it slightly differently, and just give that a really good sort of mix around. Make sure it's all in, and then we're going to just start to add the water until it becomes a sort of a thick paste. So just keep adding. In and in. Because what we do then is we just pour it into a mould, depending on what sort of shape you want your bar. You can make them into balls, if they're easier, and coat them in chocolate or something like that. That's perfect. So all we want now is you want it to about this consistency. So it's quite a thick mess. And with that, if you want to, you can cook it and it will form sort of cookies. If not, I'm going to make bars out of it. So I've just lined quite a deep cake case with some greaseproof paper, and all we're going to do, so they're easy to remove and they're sort of coated, is put a little tiny bit of Reflex Nutrition Peptide Fusion in the bottom. When we're using supplements or thinking about using supplements, it's always recommended to go for a company that batch tests their products, because then you know you're getting exactly sort of what it says on the tin, and there's no kind of other nasties added to it. So always look for that on a product. It's a sign of quality. So I always recommend to my clients using Reflex Nutrition stuff. So then we're gonna literally just pour in to our tray all our mixture. And just smooth it out. Ooh. And that will make about 4. Okay. So all we're going to do now is pop this into the fridge for about an hour. Can go in the freezer for about half an hour if it's easier, but I feel like the texture's a little bit better if it's popped in the fridge and not the freezer. So we'll come and check this in about an hour. So I've just got our protein bars out the fridge. They've been in there about an hour and a half. And all we're going to do now is simply cut them into 4 slices. So they're kind of going to be a sort of bar shape. So they might be a bit sort of tricky to cut, but we do want them as hard as possible at this stage. Just cut one for now. And then what we're going to do is, because they can get a little bit sticky, I'm going to put a light dusting of, and I'm going to use Peptide Fusion, again in chocolate peanut butter flavour, just because it goes with the same flavour of the bar. But you can do it in coconut, you could do it in a different flavour, whey protein, depending on what flavour that you've chosen to do your bar. So simply to do that, just pop a little bit of powder onto a plate. We're just going to take 1 bar. So what you'll get after about an hour in the fridge, you'll get your bar that looks sort of like this, and as you can see, we've got our cookie dough flavour. We've got 4 of those, and all we're going to do is simply just roll it in our Peptide Fusion to give it the same flavour, and it just stops it getting sticky and sticking to sort of anything. And then the best way to store these is just to get a bit of baking paper, roll up your bar in it, and just pop them like that. Keep them in the fridge, and then you can pop them in your bag as well to take them with you. Perfect to have as a snack. As we said, they've got about 27 grams of protein, 200 calories, between 8 and 10 grams of fat, depending on which type of fat that you're using, and about 2 grams of net carbs. So there is our cookie dough protein bar.